Well, I've had a bad week this week as far as overeating. And I think my overeating has been a lot because I'm bored. There's no other word for it, bored. I just don't have an interest. I've got 2 books that I've started that I just don't feel like reading. I do watch my YouTube videos. I try to stay on top of those and keep up to date with those. But I'm way behind on my TV watching with the DVR. My house is clean, but you know, your house can always be cleaner. And I really haven't got out to do my walking because of the weather and different circumstances that have kept me from doing it. So I have been overeating. And I know that sounds just like excuses, but I think to me an excuse is when you just justify it. That you justify why you're doing something with an excuse. Whereas if you just figure out why you're doing it, it could be an excuse, but you're not justifying it, if that makes any sense, but it does to me. Maybe not to you, but it does to me. But anyway, these are 5 things that you can do to get back on track. What you have to remember too is that, I would always, my whole life, I've always wanted to be a runner, and I've never been a runner. I've been overweight just about all of my life, and I always love watching people when they're out running. I'm just like in amazement. It's just, you're running, you're doing, you know. I watch West Virginia Running Don all the time because I know he's running for me. Because but it was always my goal to be a runner, and I never accomplished it. And I know that everybody says you're never too old and you're never too late, but I have new knees and I just can't do it. But if you think of like when you're, and I don't like the word dieting, but basically when you're trying to lose weight, you're somewhat on a diet, but you're learning to eat healthier, so it's kind of hard. But you have to remember, whether you're on a diet or you're on a healthy eating plan or you're just in a right mindset, that you have to remember it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Anybody that trains on a marathon doesn't wake up today and say, you know what, I think I'm going to run a marathon today. That doesn't happen. They plan for it. They run a little bit each day, a little bit more the next day, a little bit more, until they've worked their way up to that. And that's the same with getting a healthy lifestyle. You have to work your way up to it. You have to learn along the way what you can do and what you can't do, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And as long as you remember that, you're gonna do better. And if you remember that you're trying to make healthier choices, in the long term, your goal will seem farther away, but you're going to learn the right way to get there. A lot of times, just taking the trip is the best part about, you know, getting there. You know, always when you're leaving for a vacation, you're just in the anticipation, and you're really in a big hurry to get there. And you get there and you have fun, and before you know it, it's over. And then you're waiting to get home, and then that takes forever. I don't know why the road home always takes longer than the road going, because it just seems like, to me, when I go on vacation or anything, I can get to where I'm going pretty quick, but when I'm coming home, it just seems like it takes forever. And sometimes that's how I'm feeling about this weight loss. It's just like taking forever. It'll be 2 years in December. But in those 2 years, I've learned so much about myself. And I've learned, like I told you, I'm having a bad weeks, because I'm just eating out of boredom and that. But the old Sandy would have just given up by now and just said, you know what, this is just not for me. This is too long term. This is taking too long. I'm not going to do it. That's not me anymore. I go off the path, sometimes for a week or two. I really, you know, it's a long path that I take out of the way. But I get back on that track, and I get back on it, because I don't ever want to get back to where I was. Never. And so I just know that if I continue on eating poorly like I have been lately, it's going to take me even longer to reach my goal. And I just don't want to do that. But what you want to do is aim to be healthy eating or make smart choices 90% of the time. I've never met anybody that can do it 100% of the time. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there, I've said this before, I'm sure there's people out there that can do it 100% of the time. I am not one of them people, and anybody I know is not one of those people. So you want to thrive for 90% of the time. And if you really break that down, there's 365 days in a year. So that means for 36 and a half days out of that year, you don't have to be perfect. And there's not that many holidays, and you only get one birthday, unless you're me, and then you get one for the whole month. But anyway, you only get one birthday, you get one anniversary, there's one Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, there's more than one Christmas, because we do the eve of Christmas Eve, we do Christmas Eve, we do Christmas Day, then we do New Year's Eve, and then we do New Year's Day. So I mean, there's 5 days right there for me. And then Thanksgiving is 6, and Easter is 7, and your birthday is 8, anniversary is 9, and so you can come up with 26 and a half more days during the year to figure out that, you know, I'm going to go a little off plan, and I'm not going to feel any guilt about it, because the other 90% of the time, the other, what would it be, 330 days? Yeah, right around 330 days, 329 days, that, you know, you're going to eat right. You're just going to eat right. And so in the long run, that's the right way to think about it. But if you do slip up, there are ways to get back on track. It doesn't want to sound like an all doom and gloom, you know, picture out there. But what you want to do is when you want to eat breakfast, I just can't eat breakfast in the morning. I drink one of these, which is 34 ounces. I drink 16 ounces with my medication, and then I drink water all during the day. The water in the morning, because you figure before I've even eaten breakfast, I've drank probably 50 ounces of water, sometimes a little bit more, but at least 50 ounces of water. And water fills me up, and it really keeps me from wanting to eat. I find if I eat a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I've tried it many, 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 many times, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I think it's psychological. I don't know what the deal is, but it doesn't. But I always do this when I do eat my breakfast, usually around 1 o'clock. You know, really when you think about it, I get up at around 9. I wake up around 9 o'clock in the morning. And I eat at 1, so that's 4 hours later. Man, well, some people, you know, like when I worked, like I worked at 6, I had to start work at 6. On my break at 10 o'clock, I would probably have an apple or something. So that was like 4 hours later. So it's just my body. That's the way my body works. But I always have some sort of fiber with my breakfast and some sort of protein. I always have an egg, and my berries are my fibers. The raspberries are high in fiber. And I think a banana has fiber too. Although there's sugar in a banana, but somehow it doesn't really affect me that much. I kind of like to have a banana every day. I like the extra potassium, and I know there's so many other foods you can get the potassium in, but a banana is just the easiest way to get it for me. And if it helps you satisfy your hunger when you have that, and it really gives your metabolism a jump start. And number 2, like I said, is drink the water. A lot of times you're just thirsty. You're not hungry. You think you're hungry, and if you really drank some water and thought to yourself, you know, I'm going to give myself 10 or 15 minutes and see if was I hungry or was I thirsty? And 9 times out of 10, I find out that for me, it was just that I was thirsty. And the third thing you want to do is fill up on fiber. Dietary fiber has 0 calories, which is why fiber-rich foods are relatively lower in calories, which makes sense. You know, like there's always going to be calories like in celery and carrots and things like that, but the amount of calories are so low, and the amount of fiber that you get that's much more beneficial for you, it just makes more sense. And some delicious high fiber foods they suggested are raspberries, pears, apples, artichokes, broccoli, spinach, and so many more. You just have to look them up. I think you'd be really surprised how many more there are if you do. And the fourth thing you should do is, if you're hungry, is to grab a snack. I usually do have a snack sometime in the afternoon. If I do, I'll let you know. But it's usually just an apple, or I might have a pretzel rod, or some nuts or something like that. But I really do have a snack in between. A lot of times you could have like a cheese stick. I do like the turkey pepperonis, or 1 point for 28 grams. That's a lot of pepperonis. I think it's 16 pepperonis. That's a lot of pepperonis. So a lot of times I might have that, like a 2 point cheese stick with a 1 point of the 16 slices of pepperoni. It's like having a little mini pizza without the dough and sauce. It's really good, it really is. And then I have a glass of water with it. And I don't snack at night, but if you're gonna snack, eat something light. You know, try to not to eat a cookie or candy or thing. Like I went crazy last night and had pretzels. But once again, just have like a cheese stick or an egg or something. Or just try to eat a more fiber-filling dinner that'll fill you up and keep you. I find for me, what I do is after I have dinner, I brush my teeth and floss. I always think then afterwards, do I want to floss again? Because you know, as far apart as my teeth are, because I kind of like, I still don't like to floss. And it's not that hard. It really is not that hard. But it's just a pain. But I do it every night because I want to keep my teeth. And it keeps me from eating. So that's another good point on it. And it's not to say that there hasn't been times that the urge to eat has overcome that and I had to refloss, because I've done that too. But I make it a steady habit to floss every night. And that's not going to... And it's like anything is a habit that you become, anything that you do regularly is a habit that you kind of feel guilty about if you don't do. If I forget to floss, like if I go on a vacation or something, sometimes I'll forget to floss because I'm in a different routine, a different schedule. And then I'll lay in bed and I'll think, oh my gosh, I forgot to floss. And then I lay there guiltily saying to myself, should I get up and floss, or will I, you know, one night it's not going to hurt, you know, I don't really need to, and then I'll toss and turn, and then I get up and go and floss. Or I'll forget altogether and I'll get up in the morning and think, oh my gosh, I forgot to floss last night. I wish I could be that dedicated about eating healthy like I am with the flossing. Now that I think about it, I sound like a fanatic. All right, I just looked out the window and I just realized I left my hummingbird feeders out there, and they're glass, and I think they're going to freeze and crack, so I got to remember to bring them in. Squirrel. I get distracted so easy. Anyway, these are my 5 tips to get back on track once you've overate. And I think I'm going to follow them today. Give this video a like. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it. I'll talk to you guys on my daily vlog.